I'm Ashley Dvorkin with Fox411.com movie reviewer Justin Craig, and this is your Fox 411 Big Screen. The summer of superheroes starts early with Avengers Age of Ultron. Justin, first tell us who the returning superheroes are, who the newbies are, and what their adventure is this time.
Well, we have the original Avengers cast. You have Iron Man and Captain America and the Hulk and Hawkeye and Black Widow. Then we have a couple new people. Fans of the comics will recognize Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They start out as kind of villains in the beginning of the film, but then they kind of get assimilated into the Avengers team. And their mission this time, it's actually very interesting because this whole story is like a Frankenstein story. Tony Stark creates this sentient being, this artificial intelligence called Ultron, and he creates it to kind of protect the world from, the hole that they created in the first Avengers movie, from all the aliens coming in and just destroying the Earth. Yep. And it's supposed to, create peace on Earth. But, like Frankenstein's monster, science gets out of hand, and, Tony Stark's kind of like a mad scientist, and Ultron turns on the Avengers and treats the Avengers as a threat to peace and, hunts them down. So wow. It's an intense story, and it's a massive, epic scale. So well, of course, a crazy ride, and I think it's much better than the first one.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, that's what summer is for, right? Movies like this. Let's talk about the famous writer-director that's at the helm of this sequel and what that adds to it. We've got Joss Whedon.
Yeah, Joss Whedon wrote and directed it. He did the first film, too. But, he's a huge fan favorite in this genre. I mean, Joss Whedon is probably, single-handedly saved, I guess, Marvel. I know it's probably too much credit to give to him, but it looks like Joss Whedon has
job.
he really, saved the day here. Yeah. And I think at the first Avengers film, I thought, it was his first time directing a film that big, and I thought he kind of flubbed a couple things. He's a great writer. Such a great writer, and his dialogue, like Aaron Sorkin, they have that trademark, witty banter that they do so well. You can just see it being typed out on screen as the characters are talking. But I didn't think he handled the action well first time around. This time, the dialogue is still there, that those trademark Joss Whedon lines are there, but, he really, he had some practice, and he really nailed the action this time in the editing, and it's visually stimulating. It's a well-directed film this time.
Okay, so just more everything, more action, more romance?
Right.
More everything across the board,
yeah, there's some romance in there. Every character has a little bit, there's so many characters.
Yeah.
And it's pulling characters from all the different Marvel Universe films, and they're all in here. So it's a massive cast, and everybody gets a little bit of screen time and a little bit of, moment to shine. But one person I really want to talk about is James Spader. James Spader does the voice of Ultron, who's the villain. And it's almost as if Joss Whedon wrote the character specifically for James Spader, because James Spader is like a singular actor, and nobody else delivers lines like James Spader. You hear James Spader speak, you know it's James Spader. And, Ultron is just this, like, hulking, metal, vicious beast. But with James Spader's voice and his uncanny delivery, it creates a whole new personality, and it adds humor, and it adds depth to this, stereotypical villain. And, James Spader as Ultron steals the show. Forget anything Tony Stark does or says that cracks you up.
Okay.
It's James Spader.
Oh, great. All right, so we'll look for that in those one-liners. But how about in the superhero realm? You said they each have a little bit of a storyline. Any of their storylines stand out of all those superheroes? Who stole the spotlight in that regard? Is it Tony Stark? Does he get the most?
Tony Stark probably has the most screen time, but story-wise, the story between Bruce Banner and Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson's character, they have this kind of like star-crossed lovers relationship going on there, and they kind of want to come together and start a romance, but then get pulled apart, and then back together, and it happens throughout the whole movie. And so their story is probably the most intriguing throughout.
Okay, so do you recommend this one? Is it a good way to kick off the summer very early, May 1st, but good one to kick things off?
Absolutely. I mean, this movie's going to make a ton of money, just like the first movie. It was like the third highest grossing film of all time, I think. So this one, I don't know if it'll beat it because, we're all used to this, seeing everybody together now.
Yeah.
So the novelty's gone. But it's going to do so well, and it's just the perfect way to start off the summer.
Right. Thank you so much, Justin. And you can read Justin's full review on fox411.com. Of course, comment and tweet us at fox411 to let us know your thoughts on this week's new films. As always, thanks so much for joining us.